Hi everyone, this is Cooking with Kurt. Today, my husband Donald and I are going to show you how to make a triple chocolate roll. This recipe was requested by a lot of you, and we hope you like this video.
It's a moist chocolate chiffon cake that's filled and coated with a rich chocolate ganache frosting, topped with chocolate curls, and drizzled with even more chocolate.
Oof. Just like it sounds, it's super decadent and super chocolatey. To start, we're going to make the chocolate chiffon cake. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, then take a jelly roll pan which is 10.5 by 15.5 inches, and line it with parchment paper. Do not grease the parchment paper or the pan. Then prepare half a cup of hot brewed coffee, add in 1/4 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, stir together till the cocoa powder is fully dissolved, and let this come to room temperature. Then take a big mixing bowl and a sieve, add in 1 cup of cake flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/3 cup of sugar, and half a teaspoon of salt. Sift this in. Then add in 4 egg yolks, 1/3 cup of vegetable oil, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1 teaspoon of finely grated orange zest, and the coffee cocoa mixture from earlier. Beat this together till it's just combined. Next, we're going to make a meringue mixture. In a separate stainless steel or glass bowl, add in 4 room temperature egg whites and half a teaspoon of cream of tartar. Beat them together on high speed till it's nice and frothy. Then slowly add in 1/3 cup of granulated sugar and continue beating this mixture. When you start to see stiff glossy peaks, like this, the meringue mixture is done. We're going to slowly add this meringue mixture to the chocolate cake mixture and gently fold it in, 1/3 of the meringue mixture at a time till it's well combined. Be sure to really scrape the bottom of the bowl for unmixed cake mixture. Then pour this into the prepared jelly roll pan and smooth out the top with your spatula. We're going to bake this in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 to 18 minutes, or until the surface springs back when gently pressed. To prevent the cake from sticking to the parchment paper, sprinkle some powdered sugar over the cake. Then place a big piece of parchment paper over the cake, invert the cake onto the parchment paper, lift off the sheet pan, and then peel off the parchment paper the cake was baked with. Now while the cake is still warm, dust some additional powdered sugar onto this other side of the cake to prevent it from sticking to itself when rolling. Then, using the parchment paper, roll the cake with the parchment paper in it along the short 10.5 inch side. Making sure that the seam of the cake is down, let it cool to room temperature on a wire rack.
While that's cooling, we're going to make the chocolate ganache frosting. Take a medium saucepan and add 1 cup of heavy cream and 1/4 cup of sugar, and bring it to a boil on low-medium heat while whisking till the sugar has dissolved. When the mixture is smooth and slightly simmering, but not boiling, turn off the heat. Take 16 ounces of bittersweet chocolate, which is about 2 2/3 cups of chocolate chips, in a large heat-proof bowl. Pour the hot, heavy cream mixture over the bittersweet chocolate and mix this together to melt the chocolate. While the mixture is still hot, add 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter that's been cut into pieces, and an optional 1 tablespoon of brandy, and continue mixing this into the mixture until it's smooth. The brandy is an optional flavor, so if you don't have brandy or if you don't add alcohol, you can just leave it out and there's no need to substitute it with anything. Now let's continue stirring the ganache till it's nicely uniform and smooth. During the summer months or on a hot day like today, it may be necessary to put the ganache frosting into the fridge to cool down and firm up faster. So while the ganache frosting is firming up in the fridge, we're going to make the chocolate curls. Start by placing a sheet pan like this and putting it into the fridge to get cold. Then, set up a double boiler over medium heat. Add in 2 ounces of bittersweet chocolate, which is about 1/3 cup of chocolate chips, and stir it around till it's nicely tempered, melted, and smooth. Turn off the flame, take the bowl off the heat, and let it cool for about 5 minutes.
Keep the saucepan of water that was used for the double boiler handy, as we'll use that again a little later. After your melted chocolate has cooled down for about 5 minutes, take the cold sheet pan that was in the fridge and place it upside down on the counter. Pour your tempered chocolate onto the cold sheet pan. Now with your spatula, push the chocolate back and forth, spreading it into a thin layer, like this. You'll notice your melted chocolate has a glossy, shiny look right now. As you push and spread the chocolate back and forth, it will start to firm up a bit on the cold sheet pan. When you're happy with the thin layer of chocolate, put the sheet pan back in the fridge for 20 to 30 minutes for the chocolate to harden. Also, put your bench scraper in the freezer so it's cold when it touches the chocolate. Your chocolate is ready to scrape when it goes from glossy to having more of a matte look. When you think your chocolate is ready, take your cold bench scraper and at a 45-degree angle, scrape it with a pretty quick and confident motion. If the chocolate starts to crumble immediately, like this, it means the chocolate is too cold, so let it warm up for 5 to 10 seconds and try again. If you scrape and the chocolate just clumps up into a melted pile onto your scraper, like this, then it means it's not cold enough or it warmed up too much at room temperature. If this happens, just put it back in the fridge for 10 minutes and try again. When the chocolate is just the right temperature and consistency, with a pretty quick and confident motion, the chocolate will form curls when you scrape it at a 45-degree angle. Especially in hot weather, when the chocolate warms up very quickly, this step can be very temperamental, and there's only a short 30-second to 1-minute window where your chocolate is the right temperature and consistency that it forms curls. So you might have to put your sheet pan back and forth in the fridge multiple times before you get all the curls you want. Make as many curls as you'd like. Here we're aiming for 8 good-sized curls. When you get the curls you're happy with, immediately store them in the freezer till you're ready to use them, as the curls may melt and lose their shape. I don't know if you can tell, but it's like 93 degrees Fahrenheit in this kitchen right now. By now, our chiffon cake should have cooled down to room temperature, and our ganache should have firmed up so it's a nice, spreadable consistency. So we're ready to assemble our cake roll. Slowly and carefully unroll the cake. Spread a thin layer of the chocolate ganache, about 1/8 inches thick, over the chiffon cake. Then using the parchment paper as a handle to avoid touching the cake, slowly and carefully roll the cake up again in the same direction it was rolled before, but this time with the chocolate filling instead of the parchment paper rolled into it. Transfer the roll onto your serving dish with the seam side down so it doesn't unroll. Fill the gaps at the ends of the cake with the chocolate ganache. Then cover the outer surface of the cake with a very thin first layer of ganache as a crumb coat and smooth it out with a spoon. Let this roll rest in the fridge for about 20 minutes for the ganache to harden a bit. When your crumb coat is firmed up, apply a second layer of ganache, about 1/8 inches thick on the ends of the roll and the outer surfaces. Then smooth it out with a bench scraper. Remember to save at least 3 tablespoons of the ganache for the chocolate drizzle at the end. Now you can leave the roll as it is with a nice smoother finish, or if you have an icing comb, you can create a pattern on the ends of the roll and the outside surface of the ganache. Remember to scrape the excess ganache off the comb between each stroke, and then wipe off the excess chocolate on the serving dish. Then take your 8 chocolate curls out of the freezer and place them along the top of the roll in whatever positioning you like. Put your roll back in the fridge so the second layer of ganache can firm up.
The next and final step is the chocolate drizzle. Earlier we said to keep the double boiler saucepan handy, and we're going to use that same saucepan with water now. Take the remaining chocolate ganache, hopefully about 3 tablespoons or so left, and place the heat-proof bowl back on the double boiler over medium heat. Rewarm the chocolate again so it returns to having a more runny consistency, like this. Transfer the ganache into a small Ziploc bag or disposable piping bag. Seal it, then snip a very, very small hole in one corner. Do some test drizzles. If it's too runny, let it cool for a minute and try again. When the drizzles reach the consistency you want, drizzle it over your cake roll in whatever pattern you like. Today, we're doing a zigzag pattern.
Now, just like with the chocolate curls, drizzling ganache can be tricky, as sometimes it can be too runny if it's too hot, or it won't drizzle if it's cooled down too much. You sort of have to estimate when it's the right consistency to create the drizzle effect that you want. Refrigerate the finished roll for a minimum of 2 hours to overnight for the cake to set completely, then leave it out at room temperature for 2 to 3 hours before serving for the chocolate ganache to soften up again. And there it is, a triple chocolate roll. Unsarap.
Yum.
Love that hint of orange in the chiffon.
And the ganache is so rich and indulgent. We gotta pace ourselves eating this one.
Thank you all so much for watching. Please let us know in the comment section below if you're planning to make this triple chocolate roll. Send us pictures of your creations on Facebook and Instagram. The links are below. And if you like this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to Cooking with Kurt.
And don't forget to click on the bell so you get notified when we post new cooking videos. Maraming salamat!